Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, watching the view screen with tired eyes. Another day, another alien fleet approaching Earth's space. This time it was the HFY Empire, their massive ships moving like dark clouds across the stars. Jake had seen this same scene too many times before. "Sir, we're getting the usual demands," said Lieutenant Carol Martinez from the communication station. "They want us to surrender immediately or face destruction." Jake nodded. It was always the same. Every few months, a new alien species would discover Earth and decide that humans looked like easy prey. They would send their fleets, make their threats, and expect the primitive humans to bow down in fear. "Patch me through to Admiral Kane on Earth," Jake ordered. The view screen flickered and Admiral Lisa Kane's face appeared. She looked as tired as Jake felt. Behind her, the Earth Command Center buzzed with activity. Officers moved between stations, their faces tense but determined. "Another one, Jake?" Lisa asked. "The HFY Empire this time. About 200 ships, all heavily armed. They're demanding our immediate surrender." Lisa shook her head. "That's the 7th fleet this year. These aliens just don't learn." Dr. Alex Turner stepped into view behind the Admiral. He was Earth's best expert on alien species, and he had studied the HFY for months. "Commander Morrison, I've been analyzing their ships. The HFY are warriors. They've conquered 43 different species in the last century. They've never lost a major battle." "What kind of weapons are we looking at?" Jake asked. "Plasma. Cannons, quantum torpedoes, and energy shields that can stop most conventional weapons. Their armor is made from compressed metals that are nearly indestructible. Each of their dreadnoughts is the size of a small city." Jake studied the alien ships on his screen. They moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with weapon ports and shield generators. The HFY had clearly come prepared for war. Captain Maria Santos joined the conversation from her diplomatic ship. She had spent years trying to establish peaceful contact with alien civilizations. Most of the time, they laughed at her efforts. "I've already sent 3 warning messages," Maria reported. "Their fleet commander just sends back threats and insults. He called us hairless apes and said we should prepare to become slaves." "Same old story," Lisa said with a bitter smile. "They see us as primitive because we don't have a galactic empire. They think our technology is weak because we don't go around conquering other planets." Jake looked at his tactical display. The HFY fleet was still 12 hours away from Earth's outer defenses. That gave them time for one last attempt at diplomacy. "Maria, send them our standard final warning. Make sure it's broadcast on all galactic frequencies so every species can hear it." "Already prepared, sir." Maria's transmission went out across space, reaching not just the HFY fleet but communication networks throughout the galaxy. Her voice was calm and professional. "This is Captain Maria Santos of the Terran Diplomatic Corps speaking to the HFY fleet. You are entering Terran space without permission. This territory belongs to Earth and is protected by the Terran Defense Fleet. You have 10 minutes to withdraw beyond the heliopause, or we will consider your presence an act of war. This is your final warning." The response came back within seconds. The HFY fleet commander appeared on screen, his reptilian face twisted with amusement. His scales were dark red with silver markings that showed his high rank. "Foolish humans," he hissed. "We are the HFY Empire. We have crushed civilizations across 1,000 worlds. Your pathetic species will kneel before us or be destroyed." The transmission cut off, and the alien fleet continued its advance toward Earth. Jake felt something cold settle in his stomach. It wasn't fear. It was the knowledge of what was about to happen. The aliens had made their choice. "All ships. This is Commander Morrison," he announced on the fleet channel. "The HFY have rejected our final warning. All vessels move to battle stations, prepare to engage." Across the solar system, human ships began to move. The destroyers and cruisers that had been patrolling the outer planets turned toward the approaching threat. Hidden defense platforms powered up their weapons systems. On Earth, the planetary defense grid came online. Dr. Turner was still studying the alien fleet. "Commander, there's something you should know about HFY psychology. They believe that showing mercy is a sign of weakness. In their culture, the only response to a threat is overwhelming violence. Then they're about to learn something about human psychology, Jake replied. Admiral Kane's face was grim on the view screen. Jake, I want you to know that this decision wasn't made lightly. We've tried diplomacy for 50 years. We've sent peaceful messages to dozens of species. Most of them ignore us, some attack us. None of them respect our territorial claims. I understand, Admiral. The politicians on Earth have finally agreed. No more warnings after this. No more attempts at peaceful contact with hostile species. If they won't respect our space, we'll make them fear it. Jake nodded. He had been waiting for this moment for years. Every officer in the Terran Defense Fleet had been trained for this day, when humanity would finally say, enough. Admiral, what about the other alien species? The ones who might be watching? Let them watch, Lisa said firmly. Let them see what happens when someone ignores a human warning. Maybe they'll think twice before testing us. The tactical display showed the Kethvar fleet continuing its advance. They had formed into an attack formation, with their largest dreadnoughts in the center and smaller ships protecting the flanks. It was a classic invasion pattern that had worked for them dozens of times before. 5 minutes until they cross. The boundary, reported Lieutenant Martinez. Jake looked around his bridge. Every officer was at their station, ready for combat. These men and women had trained their entire careers for this moment. Earth's survival depended on their skill and courage. Sir, called Lieutenant Tom Harris from the weapons station, all systems are ready. The new antimatter torpedoes are loaded and armed. Good. Remember, everyone, we're not just fighting for Earth today. We're fighting for every human colony in space. We're fighting to make sure that no alien species ever again thinks they can simply take what belongs to us. The 10-minute deadline passed. The Kethvar fleet crossed into Terran space, their weapons charging and shields at maximum power. Jake Morrison took a deep breath and gave the order that would change the galaxy forever. All ships engage the enemy. Show them why humans don't give third warnings. The first shots came from the Kethvar dreadnoughts. Massive plasma bolts streaked through space, each one carrying enough energy to destroy a small moon. The aliens expected to see human ships explode in brilliant flashes of light. Instead, they watched in confusion as the human vessels simply weren't there anymore. Captain Ryan Cooper gripped his command chair as the UES Lightning danced between the enemy fire. His destroyer moved like it was swimming through space instead of flying. The ship twisted and spun in ways that should have been impossible, avoiding plasma bolts by mere meters. How are we doing this? Asked his tactical officer, Lieutenant Jenny Adams. Gravitational manipulation drive, Ryan explained while watching another plasma bolt miss his ship. We can change our local gravity field faster than their computers can track us. On the Kethvar flagship, Fleet Commander Zektar stared at his tactical display in growing alarm. His gunners were among the best in the Empire, but they couldn't hit targets that seemed to ignore the basic laws of physics. Increase fire rate, he ordered. Saturate the area with plasma. The alien ships opened fire with everything they had, space filled with deadly energy beams and explosive torpedoes. Surely no ship could avoid such a massive barrage. The human ships not only avoided it, they used it against the aliens. Captain Sarah Kim, commanding the cruiser UES Thunder, flew her ship directly through a cluster of Kethvar torpedoes. Her point defense systems shot down some of the weapons while her ship's gravity field deflected others back at their original targets. 3 Kethvar destroyers exploded as their own torpedoes struck them. This is impossible, Zektar roared. Our intelligence said humans had primitive technology. His tactical officer's voice shook with fear. Sir, their ships are using technology we don't understand. They're manipulating space-time itself. Dr. Amy Harrison watched the battle from her monitoring station on Titan Base. As Earth's leading weapons designer, she had spent 10 years developing the tools that were now being used against the Kethvar. Antimatter torpedo performance is excellent, she reported to Admiral Kane. The quantum disruptors are working perfectly. The enemy shields can't stop weapons that exist in multiple dimensions. On the view screen, Amy watched as Commander Morrison's ship fired a spread of her antimatter torpedoes. The weapons looked like tiny stars as they streaked toward the largest Kethvar dreadnought. When they hit, The massive alien ship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next moment there was only empty space and expanding gases. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Martinez. "We just erased a ship the size of Manhattan." The Kethvar fleet began to break formation as panic spread through their ranks. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were being destroyed by weapons they couldn't even see coming. Their sensors detected the antimatter torpedoes too late to matter, and their shields were useless against attacks that bypassed normal space entirely. Commander Zektar tried to rally his forces. "All ships focus fire on their largest vessel. Concentrate everything on the human flagship." 50 Kethvar ships turned their weapons toward the UES Vengeance. Jake Morrison watched the incoming fire with calm eyes. "Colonel Mitchell," he said, into his communicator, "I think it's time for the surprise." Deep in the asteroid belt, Colonel Tony Mitchell smiled as he received the order. For months, his engineering teams had been installing hidden defense platforms throughout the solar system. Each platform was cloaked and armed with the most powerful weapons Earth had ever built. "All stations, this is Asteroid Command. Decloak and engage." Across the solar system, space suddenly filled with human weapons platforms. They appeared from behind asteroids, decloaked from empty space, and rose from the surfaces of moons. There were hundreds of them, each one bristling with railguns and missile launchers. The railguns fired first. Massive projectiles accelerated to 20% of light speed streaked across the solar system. The Kethvar ships had no time to react. Their shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. The first railgun slug hit a Kethvar battlecruiser dead center. The kinetic energy was so enormous that the ship didn't just explode, it was crushed into a ball of superheated metal and gas. The shockwave from the impact destroyed 2 nearby destroyers. "Impossible!" Zektar screamed as his fleet began to fall apart around him. Where did these weapons come from? His science officer's face was pale with terror. "Sir, our sensors detect at least 300 hidden platforms. They've been there all along. We flew right into a trap." More railgun slugs found their targets. Each impact created a brief new star as matter was compressed beyond its breaking point. Kethvar ships that had seemed indestructible were being reduced to atomic particles. Captain Lisa Roberts, commanding the destroyer UES Eagle, led a squadron of human ships against the alien carriers. Her tactics were simple and brutal. Use, speed to close distance, then hit the enemy with everything available. "Remember," she told her pilots, "these aliens have been conquering peaceful species for centuries. They're used to fighting enemies who surrender when they see how big the Kethvar ships are. They've never fought anyone who shoots back." The human fighters swarmed over the alien carriers like angry bees. Their weapons were smaller than the massive guns on the capital ships, but they were fast and accurate. More importantly, the alien point defense systems couldn't track targets that moved like the human ships did. Dr. Harrison's quantum disruptors proved especially effective against the carriers. The weapons reached across dimensions to tear holes in reality itself. When a disruptor hit a Kethvar ship, pieces of the vessel simply vanished, leaving behind gaps that caused the rest of the structure to collapse. The battle was turning into a slaughter. In 2 hours, the mighty Kethvar invasion fleet had been reduced to scattered survivors fleeing at maximum speed. Ships that had once carried proudly into battle now limped away with their hulls cracked and their crews broken. Commander Zektar's flagship was one of the few ships still fighting. His vessel had taken dozens of hits and half his crew was dead. Fires burned throughout the ship, and the artificial gravity kept flickering on and off. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "the humans are transmitting to all our surviving ships." Admiral Kane's face appeared on every functional Kethvar screen. Her voice was calm and professional, but there was steel beneath the words. "Attention, Kethvar survivors. This is Admiral Lisa Kane of the Terran Defense Fleet. Your invasion of Earth space has failed. You will retreat immediately beyond the heliopause and never return. Any Kethvar ship detected in this system again will be destroyed without warning." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "When you return to your empire, tell them what you witnessed here. Tell them that Earth's patience has limits. Tell them that humans do not give third warnings. The transmission ended, leaving the surviving Kethvar ships in stunned silence. Zek quote. Tar looked around his ruined bridge. His mighty fleet had been crushed by an enemy. His intelligence services had dismissed as primitive apes. Weapons beyond his understanding had turned his proud ships into scrap metal. Set course for home, he whispered to his navigator. Maximum speed. As the Kethvar survivors limped away from Earth, automated human probes followed them to the edge of the system. The probes broadcast detailed recordings of the battle on all galactic communication frequencies. Every alien species in known space would soon see exactly what happened to those who ignored human warnings. The message was simple and clear. Earth was no longer a target. It was a force to be feared. News of the Kethvar defeat spread through galactic civilization like wildfire. Within days, every major alien species had received detailed recordings of the battle. The images were shocking. Massive Kethvar dreadnoughts being reduced to expanding. Clouds of gas. Proud warriors fleeing in terror from human ships that moved like ghosts. Senator Kate Williams stood before the Galactic Council on the neutral station of Kepler Prime. Around her, representatives from dozens of alien species watched. With new wariness, these same beings had laughed at human diplomatic protest for 50 years. They weren't laughing anymore. Honored delegates, Kate began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. For half a century, Earth has sent peaceful messages to this council. We have requested recognition of our territorial boundaries. We have asked for basic respect of our sovereignty. She gestured to the large view screen behind her, which showed the wreckage of Kethvar ships drifting in space. Your response has been silence, mockery, and outright aggression. Well, the time for asking politely is over. The Altarian ambassador, a tall being with blue skin and silver eyes, leaned forward in his seat. Senator Williams, the Galactic Council has never officially recognized Earth's territorial claims because humans have never demonstrated the ability to enforce them. Kate smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I believe recent events have demonstrated our enforcement capabilities quite clearly. Murmurs rippled through the council chamber. The Zephyrian delegate, her crystalline body catching the light, spoke up. The destruction of the Kethvar fleet was impressive, but surely Earth doesn't expect to intimidate the entire galaxy with one military victory. One victory? Kate's smile widened. Ambassador, you seem to be under the impression that the Kethvar were our first uninvited guests. Let me share some statistics with you. The view screen changed to show a star map with Earth at the center. Red dots marked the locations of battles throughout human space. In the past 10 years, Earth has been invaded, attacked, or threatened by 47 different alien species. The Kethvar were simply the most recent. Would you like to know what happened to the others? The council chamber fell silent. Many of the delegates already knew the answer, but hearing it stated publicly was different. Every single invasion fleet was destroyed. Every raiding party was eliminated. Every spy network was rolled up, and its members returned to their homeworlds in small boxes. Earth has a 100% success rate in defending our territory. Meanwhile, halfway across the galaxy, intelligence operative Sam Davis was conducting a very different kind of warfare. From his hidden base on the mining world of Proxima 7, Sam orchestrated the largest psychological operations campaign in galactic history. His team of human agents had infiltrated alien communication networks throughout known space. They weren't stealing military secrets or planting viruses. Instead, they were doing something much more effective. They were making sure every alien species saw exactly what human weapons could do. Upload Package 7 to the hegemony networks, Sam instructed his technical specialist, Lieutenant Mark Torres. I want every hegemony citizen to see what quantum disruptors do to starship hulls. The footage was carefully edited for maximum psychological impact. Slow-motion replays showed Kethvar dreadnoughts simply ceasing to exist as human antimatter torpedoes found their targets. Computer analysis highlighted the impossible maneuvers of human ships as they danced between alien Fire. Sir, Torres reported, we're getting responses from 17 different species. Most of them are requesting detailed technical specifications of our weapons. Deny all requests, Sam ordered. But make sure they know we're denying them. Fear of the unknown is always more powerful than fear of something you understand. Tower. The industrial world of Titan Base. Engineer Brad Johnson oversaw the most ambitious construction project in human history. Massive automated defense platforms were being built around the clock, each one designed to guard a different approach. True to Earth. How many platforms will we have operational by next month? Asked Dr. Amy Harrison as she toured the construction facility. 57, Brad replied, wiping grease from his hands. Each one carries enough firepower to sterilize an entire invasion fleet. We're positioning them at every major hyperspace exit point within 100 light-years of Earth. Amy studied the technical specifications on her tablet. These power readings are incredible. Each platform generates more energy than most alien capital ships. That's the idea. We want any species that's thinking about attacking Earth to know that they'll face our defenses long before they get close to our homeworld. The platforms were more than just weapons. They were statements. Each one broadcast a simple message. In every known alien language, you are entering Terran space. Unauthorized vessels will be destroyed without warning. The psychological effect was exactly what Brad had hoped for. Trade routes throughout the galaxy began to shift as alien merchants avoided any star system that might bring them too close to human territory. Military commanders updated their strategic plans to include wide buffer zones around Earth space. Dr. Helen Foster, Earth's top expert on alien psychology, analyzed the responses from her laboratory on Luna Base. The data was fascinating and terrifying in equal measure. Admiral Kane, she reported during their weekly briefing, the alien reaction patterns are exactly what we predicted. Fear, confusion, and a complete reassessment of human capabilities. Lisa Kane studied the psychological profiles on her screen. What about the more aggressive species? The ones who might see this as a challenge? That's where it gets interesting. The warrior cultures like the Kethvar are actually the most affected. Their entire worldview is based on strength and conquest. When they see a species that's clearly stronger than they are, their instinct is to avoid conflict rather than escalate it. Helen pulled up a detailed analysis of intercepted alien communications. The trade guilds are already pressuring their governments to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth. They see us as a potential market for their goods, not a threat to be eliminated. And the more peaceful species? They're relieved. Many of them have been victims of the same aggressive empires that have been threatening us. They see Earth as a potential protector rather than another conqueror. The shift in galactic politics was already becoming visible. Species that had ignored human diplomatic messages for decades were suddenly requesting formal meetings with Earth ambassadors. The same alien governments that had laughed at human territorial claims were now studying detailed maps of human space to make sure their ships didn't accidentally cross the boundaries. Captain Maria Santos found herself busier than ever as requests for diplomatic contact flooded into Earth's foreign ministry. Her job had changed from making futile appeals for peace to managing a complex web of interstellar politics. The Centaurian Republic wants to establish a trade agreement, she reported to Senator Williams. The Vegan Confederation is requesting security guarantees against hegemony expansion. Even the Andromedan Collective is asking about setting up an embassy on Earth. Kate nodded as she reviewed the requests. What about the species that were directly involved in attacks on our territory? Most of them are offering formal apologies and war reparations. The Rigelian Empire wants to pay for the damage their raiders caused to our mining colonies. The Sirius Federation is offering to share their star charts as compensation for their illegal surveys of our outer systems. The transformation was remarkable. In less than 6 months, Earth had gone from being dismissed as a primitive backwater to being courted as a major galactic power. The same alien species that had once planned to conquer humanity were now competing for access to human technology and protection. But not everyone was ready to accept the new reality. In the dark reaches of space, other alien empires watched. the recordings of the Kethvar defeat and drew different conclusions. Some saw opportunity in Earth's apparent isolation. Others viewed human military capabilities as a threat that needed to be eliminated before it could grow stronger. Admiral Kane was well aware of these developments. Her intelligence network had identified at least 12 alien species that were actively planning some form of action against Earth. Some wanted to test human defenses with limited raids. Others were considering full-scale invasions. "Let them come," she told her staff during a strategy meeting. "The Kethvar weren't our message to the galaxy, they were just our first draft." 6 months after the Kethvar disaster, the Zephyrian collective decided they were smarter than their predecessors. Instead of sending massive fleets that could be easily detected, they would use stealth and cunning to test human defenses. The first sign of trouble came from Lieutenant Commander Steve Parker, captain of the patrol ship UES Vigilant. His vessel was conducting routine border sweeps in the outer solar system when his sensor operator detected something unusual. "Sir, I'm picking up gravitational anomalies near the asteroid belt," reported Ensign Kelly Brown. "The patterns suggest cloaked vessels, but they're using technology I've never seen before." Steve studied the sensor readings on his command screen. The signals were faint, almost invisible, but his crew had been trained to spot even the most sophisticated cloaking devices. "How many ships are we looking at?" "At least 20, sir. Maybe more. They're small, probably scouts or reconnaissance vessels." Steve smiled grimly. After the Kethvar incident, Earth's defense protocols had been updated. Any unauthorized vessel found in human space would be destroyed immediately, with questions asked later. "Launch hunter-killer drones. I want every cloaked ship in this system tracked down and eliminated." The UES Vigilance drone bays opened, releasing dozens of small, deadly machines. Each drone was equipped with quantum sensors that could detect cloaked vessels and antimatter warheads that could destroy them. The drones spread out through the asteroid belt like a swarm of angry wasps. The first Zephyrian scout ship was destroyed within minutes. The pilot never saw the drone coming. One moment he was safely hidden behind his cloaking field. The next moment his ship was an expanding ball of superheated gas. "Contact," Kelly called out. "Drone 7 has eliminated a target. Confirming ship. Destruction." "Keep hunting," Steve ordered. "I want every single intruder found." The drone swarm worked with ruthless efficiency. Advanced alien cloaking technology that had taken the Zephyrians decades to develop was useless against human quantum sensors. Within 2 hours, 19 Zephyrian ships had been destroyed. The 20th ship managed to escape, but not before Steve's crew had intercepted its communications and traced its hyperspace signature back to Zephyrian territory. "Admiral Kane," Steve reported, "we've eliminated a Zephyrian reconnaissance force. They were conducting detailed scans of our defensive positions." Lisa Kane's response was swift and decisive. "Send the survivor back to Zephyrian space with a message. Tell them that stealth attacks are still attacks." But the Zephyrians had learned the wrong lesson from the Kethvar defeat. Instead of withdrawing, they escalated their operations. 3 weeks later, ships disguised as civilian traders began appearing in human space. Their cargo holds contained hidden weapons, and their crews were trained soldiers. Captain Julie Adams commanded the heavy cruiser UES Retribution when the first merchant ship was detected approaching the Mars orbital stations. Her orders were clear: inspect all unknown vessels and respond to any threats with overwhelming force. "Attention, unknown vessel," Julie transmitted to the approaching ship. "This is Captain Adams of the Terran Defense Fleet. Reduce speed and prepare to be boarded for inspection." The response came in perfect English with only a slight alien accent. "Greetings, Captain Adams. We are peaceful traders from the Zephyrian Collective. We carry goods for trade with your colonies." Julie's tactical officer, Commander Paul Wilson, was already running deep scans of the vessel. "Captain, that ship is armed. I'm detecting military-grade weapons and combat troops." "So much for peaceful trade," Julie muttered. "All stations battle alert. Weapons free." The UES Retribution's main gun spoke with the voice of thunder. Plasma beams designed to penetrate alien armor sliced through the fake trader's hull like paper. The ship exploded in a brilliant flash that was visible from Mars. "One down," Julie announced. "How many more are there?" Her answer came as sensors detected 6 more civilian ships in various parts of the solar system. Each one was secretly armed and filled with Zephyrian commandos. Each one was destroyed within minutes of being identified. The Zephyrians had made a critical error. They thought they could hide their military operations behind false civilian identities. What they discovered was that humans considered such deception an act of terrorism, not warfare. Admiral Kane's response was swift and terrible. Instead of simply destroying the fake traitors, Earth launched a counterattack that would be remembered throughout the galaxy for generations. Chief Engineer Dan Clark had been working on a new type of weapon since the Kethvar incident. His hunter-killer drones were small, intelligent machines that could track enemy ships through hyperspace itself. No amount of distance or cloaking could hide from them. "Admiral," Dan reported from his laboratory on Titan Base, "the hyperspace tracking system is ready for field testing. We can follow the Zephyrian ships back to their home bases." "Do it," Lisa ordered. "I want every Zephyrian military facility that was involved in these attacks to be eliminated." The hunter-killer drones launched from hidden bases throughout the solar system. They followed the hyperspace trails left by the destroyed Zephyrian ships like bloodhounds following a scent. The journey took them deep into Zephyrian space, where they found their targets. The first military base was destroyed without warning. The Zephyrian commanders had no idea human weapons were even approaching, until antimatter explosions began tearing their installations apart. 3 more bases suffered the same fate within hours. The psychological impact on the Zephyrian leadership was devastating. Not only had their secret operations failed, but Earth had demonstrated the ability to strike back at targets hundreds of light years away. Nowhere in Zephyrian space was safe from human retaliation. General Klatos, Supreme Commander of Zephyrian military forces, watched the destruction reports with growing horror. His most secure facilities had been wiped out by weapons that appeared from nowhere and vanished without a trace. "How is this possible?" he demanded from his advisors. "Our bases were protected by the most advanced defense systems in the galaxy." His intelligence chief, Colonel Vextra, consulted her reports with shaking hands. "Sir, the human weapons bypassed our shields entirely. They appeared directly inside our installations and detonated before our defensive systems could respond." "What kind of technology allows for such precision strikes across interstellar distances?" "We don't know, sir. Our scientists are studying the attack patterns, but they have no theories that make sense." The final blow came 12 hours later. Admiral Kane's message was broadcast directly to the Zephyrian capital, somehow bypassing every security system and appearing on every screen in the government complex. Her words were calm and measured, but they carried the weight of absolute certainty. "Leaders of the Zephyrian collective, your attempts at stealth warfare have failed. Your fake civilian ships have been destroyed. Your military bases have been eliminated. This will be your only warning." The camera focused closely on Lisa's face, ensuring that every detail of her expression was visible to the Zephyrian leadership. "Earth knows where you live. We know where your leaders sleep. We know where your families go to school. Test our patience again, and you will discover the difference between a limited response and a declaration of total war." The transmission ended, leaving the Zephyrian government in stunned silence. Within 24 hours, the Zephyrian collective formally apologized to Earth and withdrew all military operations from human space. They also offered to pay massive reparations for the unfortunate misunderstanding that had led to their covert attacks. Senator Kate Williams accepted the apology with polite coldness. The Zephyrian offer of reparations is noted and accepted. However, any future violations of Terran space will result in the complete destruction of Zephyrian civilization. The message was clear to every species watching. Earth didn't just defend its territory, it punished those who violated it. The distinction between military targets and civilian populations would be determined by how far the attackers pushed human patience. Dr. Helen Foster analyzed the galactic response to the Zephyrian incident with growing satisfaction. "Admiral, the psychological warfare campaign is working better than we hoped. 12 species have formally recognized human territorial claims this month. 8 more have established buffer zones to avoid any accidental contact with our patrols. What about the more aggressive species? Lisa asked. They're scared. The hegemony of worlds has withdrawn their expansion fleets to defensive positions around their home systems. The Rigelian Empire has stopped all military exercises near human space. Even the Andromedan Collective is being careful not to send ships anywhere near our territory. The galaxy was learning a new rule. Humans didn't negotiate about their territory. They didn't compromise about their sovereignty. And they never, ever gave third warnings. But in the dark spaces between stars, other alien minds were drawing different conclusions from Earth's displays of power. Some saw the humans as a threat that needed to be eliminated before it could grow stronger. Others viewed Earth's isolation as an opportunity for a different kind of approach. The next test of human resolve was already being planned. 2 years after Earth's final warning echoed across the stars, the galaxy had been transformed. What had once been considered worthless backwater space around a primitive world was now the most respected and feared territory in known space. Admiral Jake Morrison, promoted to Supreme Commander of all Terran forces, stood in his new office overlooking Earth's capital. Through the massive windows, he could see alien diplomatic ships landing at the spaceport. Representatives from dozens of species came to Earth every day, seeking trade agreements, security guarantees, or simple reassurance that they remained in humanity's good graces. Sir, his aide, Commander Rachel Torres, entered with the daily briefing. The Andromedan Collective is requesting military assistance against hegemony raiders. The Centaurian Republic wants to purchase defensive platforms, and the Vegan Confederation is asking if we'll mediate their border dispute with the Sirius Federation. Jake reviewed the requests with weary eyes. Earth had never sought to become the galaxy's policeman, but that role had been thrust upon them by circumstance. When peaceful species faced extinction from aggressive empires, they turned to the only force in the galaxy that had proven capable of stopping military aggression: humanity. What's our response to the Andromedan request? Ambassador Martinez is handling the negotiations. Our terms are the same as always: complete withdrawal of hegemony forces from Andromedan space, establishment of a permanent neutral zone, and formal recognition of our territorial sovereignty. It was a pattern that had repeated itself dozens of times. Aggressive alien species would attack peaceful neighbors, confident that no one could stop them. Then Earth would intervene, and the aggressors would discover that humans had very definite opinions about unprovoked warfare. The intervention in the Rigelian-Altarian conflict had established the precedent. When the Rigelian Empire invaded 3 Altarian colonies without warning, Admiral Morrison had received a desperate plea for help from the Altarian government. Earth's response had been swift and devastating. A single human task force had appeared in Rigelian space and destroyed their entire invasion fleet in 6 hours. The surviving Rigelian ships were sent home with a simple message: withdraw from Altarian territory, or face the complete destruction of their civilization. The Rigelians withdrew. They also paid reparations to the Altarian victims and agreed to a permanent peace treaty supervised by human observers. Ambassador Carol Martinez had spent the last 2 years crafting Earth's new diplomatic doctrine. Her office in the capital buzzed with activity as she managed humanity's growing role in galactic politics. The key, she explained to a group of new diplomatic trainees, is that we don't seek conflict, we respond to it. When peaceful species ask for our help against aggressors, we provide it. When aggressive species threaten our interests or our allies, we stop them. The trainees studied their briefing materials with serious expressions. Earth's diplomatic corps had grown from a small department handling occasional alien contact to a major government agency, managing relationships with hundreds of species. What if an aggressive species surrenders immediately when they see our ships? Asked one trainee. Then we accept their surrender and send them home with a warning. We're not interested in conquest or domination. We just want to be left alone, to protect our territory and our allies. Carol's approach had proven remarkably effective. Most alien species preferred negotiation to annihilation, and Earth's willingness to accept surrender had prevented dozens of potential conflicts from escalating into full-scale wars. The economic transformation had been equally dramatic. Chief Trade Analyst Rick Thompson managed the flow of alien goods and technology through Earth's expanding commercial networks. Human technology exports have increased by 3,000% in the last 2 years, he reported to the Earth Trade Council. Antimatter production techniques, gravitational manipulation systems, and quantum sensors are in enormous demand throughout the galaxy. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Species that had once planned to conquer Earth for its resources were now paying premium prices for access to human innovations. The same weapons technology that had destroyed the Kethvar fleet was being adapted for peaceful purposes and sold to alien governments. What about imports? Asked Council Chairman David Lopez. Alien governments are offering us their most advanced technologies in exchange for trade agreements. We've received star charts mapping previously unknown regions of space, medical techniques that could extend human lifespans by centuries, and manufacturing processes that could revolutionize our industrial capacity. But the most significant change was psychological. Dr. Helen Foster's latest analysis of galactic sentiment showed a fundamental shift in how alien species viewed humanity. We're no longer seen as a primitive species that got lucky with one military victory, she reported to Admiral Morrison. The galactic community now recognizes humans as the dominant military force in known space. Jake studied the psychological profiles on his desk. What about resistance? There must be some species that resent our influence. Surprisingly little. The aggressive empires are too afraid to challenge us directly. The peaceful species see us as protectors rather than conquerors. And the neutral trading civilizations are making too much money from human commerce to want conflict. Dr. Foster pulled up a detailed map showing the current political situation. Large sections of the galaxy were now marked as human-protected zones, areas where Earth guaranteed the security of peaceful species against aggressive neighbors. The only real concern is the hegemony of worlds. Our intelligence suggests they're developing new weapons specifically designed to counter human technology. Jake nodded. The hegemony was the largest and most militaristic empire in the galaxy, controlling hundreds of star systems and countless billions of subjects. If anyone was going to challenge Earth's new position, it would be them. What do we know about their plans? They're being careful. No direct threats, no territorial violations, but they're clearly preparing for some kind of confrontation. As if summoned by their conversation, an urgent communication arrived from the outer monitoring stations. Commander Lisa Roberts, now in charge of deep space surveillance, appeared on Jake's viewscreen with troubling news. Admiral, we've detected a massive fleet movement in hegemony space. At least 500 ships, including their newest dreadnoughts. They're heading toward the neutral zone between their territory and ours. Jake felt a familiar coldness settle in his stomach. Are they crossing the boundary? Not yet, sir. But they're massing just outside the exclusion zone. It looks like they're preparing for something big. Within hours, intelligence reports confirmed what everyone feared. The hegemony of worlds was preparing to test human resolve with the largest military force ever assembled. Their fleet included experimental weapons and new defensive systems designed specifically to counter human technology. Admiral Morrison called an emergency meeting of Earth's military leadership. The holographic conference room filled with the images of commanders from across human space. The situation is clear, Jake announced. The hegemony thinks they can succeed where others have failed. They believe their new technology and superior numbers will give them an advantage. Captain Julie Adams, now commanding the newest human dreadnought, spoke from her position near the outer defense platforms. Sir, should we begin preparations for a defensive battle? No, Jake replied with a cold smile. We're not going to wait for them to attack us. If the hegemony wants to see what human military technology can really do, we'll give them a demonstration they'll never forget. The orders went out across human space. Every ship, every platform, every weapon system that Earth had built over the past 2 years began moving toward the hegemony border. This wouldn't be a defensive action like the Kethvar incident. This would be a display of power that would settle the question of human military supremacy once and for all. A's Admiral Morrison prepared for what might be the final test of Earth's position in the galaxy. A new communication arrived from an unexpected source. The message came from a species called the Sovereignty of United Worlds, located in a distant spiral arm that had only recently discovered galactic civilization. The alien transmission was simple and direct. Primitive inhabitants of the Sol system, prepare for conquest. We are the Sovereignty of United Worlds, masters of 1,000 systems. Your surrender is demanded immediately. Jake Morrison read the message and began to laugh. After everything that had happened, after all the warnings that had echoed across the stars, there were still alien species that thought humans were easy prey. He composed a brief response and transmitted it on all galactic frequencies, ensuring that every species in known space would hear Earth's reply to this new threat. We are humanity. We gave our warning 2 years ago. We will not give another. The message was accompanied by detailed recordings of every battle Earth had fought, every invasion fleet they had destroyed, and every aggressive empire they had humbled. The final image showed the expanding wreckage of alien ships drifting in the cold darkness of space. Across the galaxy, alien leaders who had learned to respect human power watched the new developments with interest. The Sovereignty of United Worlds was about to learn the same lesson that